Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing Journey to the Center of the Tardis. Now, this is only the second time I have seen this story, the first time being when it originally aired. So, 11 years ago now? It's been a while. It wasn't one that had overly impressed me, but I think I was partly distracted at the time when it was airing. I had a lot going on at the time. So it was nice to kind of sit down and look at it with fresh eyes to see if maybe I hadn't caught the full effect of it, or maybe just being older I would enjoy it more, because some stories are better on rewatch. And I find I like it and I don't. And what it basically boils down to is it pretty much for me has the same problem the God Complex does. I've talked about the God Complex several times on the channel, and this one has the same problem, whereas I think the story is complete rubbish. Utter bollocks. Terrible. But the execution on screen of the story, I feel like is done very well. I love how well it's directed. I like especially Matt Smith and Jenna Coleman are putting in great performances. There's a reason why Matt is my favorite modern Doctor. He is phenomenal in this episode. Jenna Coleman, really good in this episode. The guest cast, they're okay. I'm going to be honest, they're not blowing me out of the water, but they're not given a lot of depth either. They feel like very two-dimensional characters. There's not a lot of growth. I mean, one character does get some character growth, but it feels just kind of forced and convenient for the plot. They're not very fleshed out characters. The actors playing them are fine. Nothing against them. The characters just don't have a lot. There's not a lot of meat there to work with. But I do like the execution of the story. Now, the script doesn't do anything for me. I think it's neat to have an idea where you're exploring more of the TARDIS. I like that. I would like to see more of that. The script doesn't do anything with it. The reveal, excuse me, the reveal of who the monsters that are chasing them are, while I admit I don't think I recall seeing that coming, it was still just kind of, oh, okay. That could have been done well, but for some reason it doesn't. The bit when the Doctor manages to save everything at the end feels so Deus Machina with the little bomb thing he presses. Like, how does that work? Where did that come from? How did he get it eventually? Why does it reset everything? Nothing is explained. It just does when he presses it. And the little burn on Clara's hand, I knew that had to play in somewhere. I could tell there were words there. And I like the fact it is just big reset button, which he's saying he wished he had. But just the whole bit where he steps through the crack, pops through the crack, tosses it to his past self before he just disappears or whatever. And then his past self just, whee! And that's it? That's it? What a cop-out. What a cop-out. It just doesn't do much for me story-wise. Now, getting with the positives. Again, I love the execution. This story is directed well. I love the camera work in this. The camera does a lot of things where, especially when people are walking through the corridors of the TARDIS, the camera work tilts. It turns. Sometimes in shot it turns. Sometimes it's just at an odd angle. It does a really good job of capturing the fact that something is wrong in the TARDIS, that everything is not the way it's supposed to be, that it gives you this sense of things being off, which is, I think, a really good way of putting the viewer off, because the camera being a little off-kilter can put us a little off-kilter. It does a really good job of that. I like the use of colors. A lot of the corridors have a lot of red going on in them. Some of them have some green going on in them. The console room is awash in blue, and the Echo console rooms have a lot of blue light going on them. I love the use of light in this, where one color is just dominating the scene a lot of times. I really enjoy that. I like how the creatures, for a good little portion of the episode, are kind of shown in shadow. You don't really get a good image of them for a little while. I like that, where you're just kind of seeing them out of focus, or you're just seeing part of them kind of walk past. And the sound they make, a lot of it's more the sound they're making, that creepy growling or whatever sound it is they're making is very creepy. So you don't get a good look at them, and I think that's a very effective way to do horror when you're not quite sure what it is. A good way, again, it builds tension, builds a little bit of atmosphere, builds the stakes up a lot. I enjoyed that as well. It's interesting because, like, you know, in classic Who, when they're walking down corridors, they're very static shots. It's just the way TV was shot back then. you know, and it's just normal overlit rooms. So I much prefer, well, I won't say prefer because that's not really fair, but I much like, since things are going wrong in the TARDIS, again, these camera angles that are very different, very, I like when they move and transition around. That looks really, really good. And again, the lighting looks really good. There's one scene when Matt Smith walking down towards the camera with the screwdriver like this. I really was impressed with that shot. It looked really well. I like Matt Smith in just his vest. He doesn't have on his jacket since he's in the TARDIS. He's running around in just his vest. That's a nice look. Much like how I like how Colin in the Two Doctors doesn't have his jacket for the latter part of the story. I like Matt not having his jacket here. It's just a neat, different look we don't see much. I did enjoy the scene when he's kind of confronting Clara about, who are you? Who are you really? You know, she died and she was you. That was a really good scene. It's executed well on screen. I like the fact we get to see the swimming pool in the TARDIS. That Clara finds the room with the Time War and gets to read it, including his name. I'm glad they made that to where she didn't remember it, of course. That's the way it should be. But the execution of it, it's directed well. And again, Matt Smith's performance and Jenna Coleman's performances are very, very good. She has a couple moments where she's definitely Clara. Like when he teleports her into the room and she just starts punching him a few times. And I'm over here just going, I mean, that's Clara, though. That's Clara, but that's a little annoying sometimes with Clara. Although I tend to like Clara and Matt. I think Jenna Coleman and Matt Smith bounce off each other really well. I would have loved to have had another season with them. So, this isn't one I would go back and watch a lot, much like the God Complex. But when I'm in the mood to watch something that just has a visual look I like, I could see myself going back to this one because I did like the way it looked on screen. I thought it was directed phenomenally well. It was just that the story itself, the script, I thought was utter rubbish. And, yeah, I think that pretty much covers my thoughts on Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. I want to know what you think of it. And if you haven't watched it in a while, you should go back and give it another viewing. It looks really good on screen. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down in the description below where you get early access to videos and all sorts of other fun goodies. I also have YouTube memberships available. A link to my a link to my Amazon wish list is down there. A link to my Amazon UK wish list is also down there, and my P.O. box is down there as well if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. And most importantly, thank you for watching.